Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, yeah. It is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show, another Sunday evening spent with you, the fine people, tuned into these various radio stations or the app. Yeah, you can listen anywhere on the whole ding-dong planet. Technology, it's quite amazing. Yes, we welcome you for another Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this, I guess, is the Christmas show. Yeah, not very Christmassy, but it is, you know. I do Sundays. Next Sunday, Christmas will be over. But here it is. I like it. I am a sap. I'm a sap for this time of year. There is something to be said about the nostalgia and the vibe of Christmas. Even when you try to not pay attention to it, it gets to you. Not like whining and crying like some, gay guy. It's just, it gets to you, It conjures up memories of your youth and happy times. I guess because you take all the bad times and shove them down real deep and you just recall the good times. Because I'm sure there were plenty of Christmases, at least in the Cumia household, where I'm sure Dad was yelling at Mom and us kids and we're trying to unwrap our presents and have a great time. And, there was just a disturbance going on. But thank God human beings are made with this amazing ability to kind of shove that stuff away and recall the good times. And that's what I do. And Christmas, it's kind of cool, the music, the decorations. It sounds kind of stupid, especially for someone that's red-pilled or black-pilled as much as I am. I have such cynicism for everything at this point. So it kind of gives you a little like, oh, this is nice, though. This is kind of a thing people do. And even though I despise people on a whole, I'm being a little overdramatic here. I don't really despise everyone, but no, it's nice. It's nice. Christmas is a time of year that's pretty cool. I guess I wanted to get into, just to kind of almost wrap it up, because I've been talking about it a lot on various programs and my whipping out free speech podcast and whatnot. Australia, I guess they celebrate Christmas down there with the upside down Christmas tree and upside down Christmas lights and Santa going up the chimney to give. They're on the bottom of the earth. So with everything going on over there, it's really fascinating because, again, being so cynical of what's going on in this country and getting that feeling that all of our rights are being stomped upon by the government and businesses and these groups that feel that they're protesting for a cause, and they're just stomping on your civil rights. And you look at what's going on in Australia and you realize, wow, it does get worse. It does get worse in other places. And, obviously it's worse in a lot of these, for lack of a term I could use on other mediums besides FCC-regulated airwaves, crap hole countries. Of course it's worse there, and we all know it, and we appreciate, don't take for granted, and feel blessed being in a country like America when you contrast it with crap hole countries. But Australia, I don't think we've ever considered that to be one of these countries like, South American countries, Central American, Sub-Saharan African nations, some Southeast Asian. There's plenty of places on earth that we can look at and go, oofa, I am glad I am here. But Australia always seemed to be a country that was very similar to America. We have similar ideals, and we look at life in a similar fashion, ethically, morally. We're very similar. You could have a conversation with an Australian, between Australian and an American, and I think you're going to find a hell of a lot of common ground there. So, and then you see the difference in the government. And it's really nothing more than the government. They have liberals. They have a-holes. They have conservatives. All the different political parties and ideologies, they have the same ones we do. Speak the same language with, some cooler words than we have, I think. The accent also is really attractive, nice. But, we're pretty much the same people. The only difference is the government that we are living under. We have a constitution with inalienable rights that are guaranteed to us. And it doesn't mean the government gives them to us. It means we have them. God gave us these rights. And it's specifically stated that the government cannot infringe on those rights. A lot of people think the government gives us our rights. And the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, they are a little note from the government saying, hey, look what we gave you. No. That is completely the opposite of what it is. And when you do see that and realize it, and then look at a place like Australia, you just go, wow. These aren't people that you are so separated from. I mean, let's be honest. Look at some of the countries around the world and the government they live under. There are warlords running countries and governments that are so corrupt they have no resemblance to an actual democratic government. And you look at those and you can't imagine having a conversation with anyone living under those regimes. But again, like I said, you could, open up a Foster's and talk about football, and you're kind of in the same zone. And then you put government restrictions on them, and you kind of talk to them through social media, which I do, and you realize these are the same people as us that are so oppressed by their government. We take for granted that we can speak on social media and not be arrested. And I understand there have been some instances where people have posted things on social media that have been interpreted as threats and things that are kind of in the gray area of protected under free speech. There's slander and libel and threats that are made that fall into a gray area, and sometimes law enforcement picks up on that, and they will question you. But it is a far cry from what's going on in Australia. The government down there in the various cities and jurisdictions, because it is a giant continent of a country, are absolutely telling people that if they post things that goes against the government agenda of more immigration from people that have no concept of Western democracy, culture, society. And when those people act like they acted in their crap hole nations, in your civilized Western nation, and then you comment on it, you dare to comment on it and say, I don't like this. I think we need less immigration. I think if we are going to let people immigrate to our country, they should be people that understand Western culture and democracy and ethics, our ethics, what we deem right and wrong, what our laws that we put in place dictate you can and cannot do, the consequences you will pay. I've heard stories of people from Middle Eastern countries, Africa, that have been let off the hook for things like rape because they simply just did not understand that type of behavior was not allowed. Where they came from, it was commonplace. And the judges in these supposedly civil societies of Western nations say, all right, you're right. We should have told you. If you don't know that from the get-go, if you don't just know from the moment you have any type of ability to reason, 7 years old, you start realizing things are bad and good, things are right and wrong. And if you don't know that when you cross a border and decide to commit such heinous crimes because you didn't know, then you just don't belong there. There's nothing you can do to hammer that person into that round hole, that square peg into the round hole of civil Western society. They just don't understand. And they have no place there. And you say that in Australia? Ooh, boy, I'd be in Dutch. Plenty more of this. Your calls, 800-848-9222. And we'll talk about it. A lot more of the show coming up. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show on another great Sunday early evening. And, a lot of people watch football, which I get. I kind of understand watching a couple of teams of varying colored shirts, and you're really into it. So I get it. But we are available, of course, online. There's a lot of clips of the show, and you could listen on the app, and you could listen later after the games. So give that a whirl, would you? After your dumb football games. I was just talking about Australia and the issues they're having over there, how we have such a common bond with the citizens of Australia, and they live under what would be considered such an oppressive government. It is, not even just considered. It is an oppressive government. And we look at our government, and even with all its faults, and they obviously want to trounce on our rights, and they do occasionally, but we really do have a power in the people of this country. It's really the only reason we still have the ability to defend ourselves with the best tools available, the firearm. One of the few countries that have such an open right to bear arms. It's right there in the Constitution, their Second Amendment. But the Aussies, not so much. So after the Bondi massacre, the shooting at a Hanukkah celebration by Islamic Are they extremists? I don't even like using that word. Extremists, I guess, are the ones that actually pick up the guns. The rest of them are the ones that just go, oh, that's a shame. That's a shame right there. They don't speak out about it. They don't care. And why would they? The government officials that aren't Muslim, they don't even speak out about Islam. They're like, nah, look what happened. Well, it must be the Nazis. You're like, God, they're not even going to mention that they were Islamic terrorists mowing people down. So, they don't want that happening again, which obviously no one wants to see people gunned down in their country. So they're taking the logical steps to silencing the law-abiding citizens of their nation and even putting more restrictive gun legislation on the law-abiding citizens. So here's one of the Aussies. This could possibly be the the Prime Minister. He's talking about hate speech. That's what we got to do. Hate speech. People talking about things. Let's hear this.
Today, I'm also announcing that the government will establish a national gun buyback scheme to purchase surplus, newly banned and illegal firearms, the largest buyback since the Howard government initiated one in 1996. Australia's gun laws were last substantially reformed in the wake of the Port Arthur tragedy. The terrible events at Bondi show we need to get more guns off our streets. We know that one of these terrorists held a firearm licence and had 6 guns, in spite of living in the middle of Sydney suburbs there at Bonnyrigg. There's no reason why someone in that situation needed that many guns. There are now more than 4 million firearms in Australia, more than at the time of the Port Arthur massacre, nearly 30 years ago. The government will introduce legislation to support the funding of this buyback scheme and meet the costs on a 50-50 basis with states and territories. We expect hundreds of thousands of firearms will be collected and destroyed through this scheme. Consistent with the approach that was taken in 1996, the government is proposing that states and territories will be responsible for the collection, processing and payment to individuals for surrendered firearms. The Australian Federal Police will then be responsible for the destruction of these firearms.
Amazing.
Australians are rightly proud of our gun laws.
Are they?
And until 5 years ago, Australians were rightly proud that there had not been a repeat of Port Arthur. They were rightly proud we're not home to the constant carnage we see in some countries. But there have been, of course, incidents in both Queensland and Victoria that have seen so-called sovereign citizens murder police officers. We will introduce this national buyback scheme to get guns off our streets and to help to assist to make all Australians safe.
Yeah. Why would you use the word scheme? Gun buyback scheme? Like, scheme isn't a good word. It seems shady. I guess it's looked at in a different way down under. But, I'm going to have a gun buyback scheme. Sounds like, we're pulling one over on you. But he's like, he had 6 guns. 6 guns. I have more than 6 guns in this studio right now. One on my hip as we speak. So, they're shocked at the idea that someone would have 6 guns. And then they go, no one needs 6 guns. Whenever you're asked in the United States, why do you need 6 guns? Why do you need that type of gun? Why do you need that much ammo? The answer is always, go screw. Because the Constitution says I can. Why are you saying so many words in a day? Well, there's the First Amendment. Oh, well, how about that? Well, then I want as many guns, as many types of guns as I want. When you open up a toolbox to do a job around the house, Is there but one hammer in there or a screwdriver? Or do you have an assortment of tools that you might need for certain jobs? Guns are the same way. It's a tool. You want to hunt a turkey or pheasant out back? You need yourself a shotgun. You want to defend against a home invasion? Someone's knocking on your door in a FedEx uniform, and your dumb wife opens the door, and 5 more people come around the corner and barge through the door. I want an AR-15 for that. You're going out to dinner, and you're going to be with loved ones on the street, walking around a little. I want a 45 on my hip. Many different types of guns for different reasons, different purposes, like tools in a toolbox. You're not going to use a hammer to take out a Phillips head screw. And Australia is limiting what their people can do. No, you're not allowed. Not allowed to have that tool. No. So, I feel for them. I get a lot of people. Boy, I never imagined I'd have as many listeners from Australia. They've downloaded the app. They go online. They watch on YouTube. And, they appreciate it. I appreciate their listening, but they appreciate how Americans are responding to the unbelievable oppression that their government is putting on their citizens. And when something happens like Bondi Beach, where Islamic terrorists shoot up citizens, and the government's best answer is now to even more restrict the citizens' rights. And I don't even know if they're rights. It's so weird that we just, by reflex, say their rights. Because did they even have rights to bear arms at any time? He was talking about the Port Arthur massacre 30 years ago. We have more guns now than we've had after the Port Arthur shooting. And you're like, well, nothing happened. It wasn't until Islamists decided to shoot it up. So people were fine having a lot of guns. I don't know. We'll take your calls next and a lot more of the show. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And talking about Australia and the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. Albanese sounds like a mafiosa, doesn't he? Doesn't act like one. But they call him Albo down there. This moron Albo doesn't know what he's doing. So I got one more clip of him talking about, or another politician. This is, can't remember who this was, but another one of these Aussie oppressive government officials. And this is about free speech. This is another one of our, cherished rights in this country. Most people know the first, man. They know that First Amendment. They will bring that up and go, I have the freedom to say this. And it's like, for the most part, yeah, you do. Some of them get it a little wrong, but for the most part, you do. And we cherish that one. But again, not so much. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. These are people like us. You might think, what does that mean, Anthony? Shut up. You know exactly what I mean. People that are from a civilized Western nation with the same ideology that we have. And to have a government put their boot on their neck so hard is tough to watch. These aren't warlords and pirates fighting each other. So let's listen to this clip about what they want to do about hate speech. Dayananda.
Plan. Firstly, the Attorney-General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation. The National Security Committee has agreed that changes will include the following 5 points. Agreed changes will include 1. Aggravated hate speech offence for preachers and leaders who promote violence.
Preachers.
Secondly, increase penalties for hate speech promoting violence. Thirdly, making hate an aggravating factor in sentencing crimes for online threats and harassment. Fourthly, developing a regime for listing organisations whose leaders engage in hate speech promoting violence or racial hatred. And fifthly, developing a narrow federal offence for serious vilification based on race and or advocating racial supremacy. The Minister for Home Affairs will also have new powers to cancel or reject visas for those who spread hate and division in this country or would do so if they were allowed to come here. The East Safety Commissioner, the Special Envoy and the Department of Communications will work together to provide online safety advice to address anti-Semitism. Over the coming days, I'll have more to say about the government's response to Sunday's atrocity, including on gun control, and I note that New South Wales is moving on that next week.
You know, they talk about hate speech, but again, it's so subjective and such a gray area. If you put a bleeding heart liberal woman, you know, the ones you see at protests, in charge of what hate speech is, let's say in the United States, they decide hate speech is a crime. And now you got to come up with the criteria. What is hate speech? You talk to two different people, you are going to get two different definitions of hate speech. It's nothing you could really definitively define. Like back when they were trying to figure out what obscenity is, and a judge said, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And that's a weird thing. It's like trying to describe a color to a blind person. You know what it is, but it's like, how do you define it? A left-wing liberal woman, blue hair, that you see at a protest, she would have you imprisoned for saying some of the most innocent things you would think are the most innocent things. I don't think abortion is good. I think it's murdering an unborn human being, a child. Hate speech, go to prison. I don't think a man in a dress with a wig on is an actual woman. I think they're a man that probably has some psychological... Prison. Cut off all social media. This guy's a nut. Hate speech. So whose hands do you put it in to say that something is hate speech? And when it has such consequence, like they're talking about in Australia, who makes up what hate speech is? Who makes it up? It's such a varied definition depending on how far left and how far right you lean. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to sort that one out. We have a good system here in that, and believe me, I've been a victim of having my rights infringed upon. I don't care that people go, it's a private company, man. It's a private company, and they could do what they want. If you say something they don't agree with, they could do this, that, and the other thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if your words should be used against you to take away your livelihood and whatnot, especially when it's not a threat or anything that doesn't fall under the constitutional protection. You should have the right. There are certain times where what you say is inappropriate. I get that. I actually think Trump's statement that he put out about Rob Reiner was inappropriate. I found it very inappropriate. When you start saying, was it wrong? I don't know. Who am I to say if it's right or wrong? Rob Reiner beat the crap out of Trump. I mean, when Trump was almost killed, almost assassinated, Rob Reiner didn't have great things to say. His wish and dream that something else happened that day was well known. So Trump's response, while inappropriate, who am I to say if Trump was right or wrong for doing it? It's inappropriate in that Rob Reiner's dead, and we all, you don't want to speak ill of the dead. That's kind of a thing. You're the president of the United States. I guess people feel you should have a little more decorum, so it's inappropriate. But some people have said that because of his remarks, he should be removed from office. That's a legal implication. That's a legal consequence for saying something, for putting something down on paper. Can you find an actual crime in that? Ask people on the left. They will tell you he committed an actual crime whose penalties should be removal from office as president. And then the sensible people might know that it was an inappropriate thing to say, but of course he has the right to say it, and he committed no crimes. And the idea of trying to remove him from office for saying it is ridiculous. And, those are kind of the two camps we're in right now. And the idea that somebody should be appointed to be the hate speech arbiter is insane. We're just too far apart here in this country these days. Way, way too far apart. All right, I want to move on to, of course, I haven't done this in a couple of weeks, but, there's so many clowns. How do you pick the clown of the week?
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Yep, very difficult. You paw through the names and the videos and the personalities. They're ridiculous statements they make. And, it always comes down to a small circle of people. I don't know. Once again, and people right now are going, oh, I know, it's going to be this one, that one, the other one. If you picked Rosie O'Donnell, you are right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Rosie O'Donnell takes the crown, the big, giant, expanded crown on her big, fat head. Although these days she's kind of got that Reverend Al Sharpton, wrinkled, emaciated California raisin head. But she is all upset. She has said she will not talk about Trump anymore. Her therapist over there in Ireland, she left the United States, went to Ireland because of Trump. And she has said that her therapist has instructed her just to ignore Donald Trump. You're a few thousand miles away. You're on the lush Emerald Isle. The Pete. The Pete. And what are you doing? You're just freaking out, crashing out over Donald J. So her latest hissy fit is the renaming of the Kennedy Center. And this is, whatever. For those of you that have the honor and the pleasure of hearing my little pre-show break that I do, I think it's mostly just New York City. But I talked about it a little bit and said that the presidents, their names are used in so many things. Once you're the president, your name is going on the side of industrial buildings, schools, manufacturing facilities. I listed a bunch of Obama species. They actually named species of bugs and creatures, and they named it after Obama. So Trump, and I believe absolutely for trolling purposes only, Trump don't care if his name's up. Yeah, he's a narcissist. Right down the road, he's got a giant golden Trump written on the side of the Trump Tower. So this was to piss off people. And mission accomplished, Donald. Mission accomplished. So Rosie is all freaked out about this. She still won't say his name, which, arose by any other name. It's not what your therapist told you, Rosie. Your therapist is telling you not to pay any attention to Donald, and you're still doing it. So here she is and she's outraged about Trump adding his name to the Kennedy Center for the Arts in New York City. Here she is.
The Kennedy Center debacle. It has gone too far.
She calls him it.
It is seriously unwell. It needs to be removed from office. It. The nameless blob of negative energy. It. Hold, please.
It. The nameless blob of negative energy. Projection there, honey. Little projection from Ireland. This is great because this just shows how overdramatic, the hyperbole, the drama, constant. Everything's on 11. You know, they got to boost everything up to the worst thing that has ever happened in the world. When they talk about climate change years ago, the existential threat of climate change. In 2 years, we will be underwater, as Barack Obama bought beachfront property in Martha's Vineyard. So even they don't believe the nonsense. But it's that set the volume knob to 11 because they're emotionally driven. When something annoys them, they have to make it sound like it is life or death, and it is the most important thing ever. She said that Donald Trump, has gone too far. Putting his name on the Kennedy Center for the Arts is too far. Now let's look at some of the other things that Rosie has accused Donald of. Pedophilia, trafficking, sex trafficking, yeah, extortion, bribery. He paid Epstein millions of dollars in hush money, rape, and he paid girls to be quiet about that. But putting his name on the Kennedy Center, that to Rosie is now too far. Because the worst thing to these mental patients will always be the latest thing. Whatever the latest thing is, it has to be the worst thing. So they went through all the other things. She calls him a rapist and a this and that and all the evil things that I just said, how she's accused Donald Trump of all these things. Nothing, by the way, there's no evidence of anything. He's not in prison. I know they wanted to put him in prison, but that was a kangaroo court. Most people of any sense know that. But to say this has gone too far, putting your name up there, you know how many Barack Obama schools there are out there? Elementary schools? And, you know, you could say, yeah, that's not good. He wasn't a good president. He murdered an American citizen under the guise that he's a foreign terrorist. Well, maybe he was. But wasn't he due process? How do you take a war criminal like Barack Obama and put his name on a school? See, we could do the same thing. We just choose not to. Go ahead, put your name up somewhere. You might not agree with it again. I think it's silly. I think when they unveiled it, it looked silly. You see the Kennedy Center, and it's like the Donald J. Trump Kennedy Center. And if for a second I thought it had anything to do with anything but trolling and just annoying, you know, it'll get people. Put my name up, and you'd be like, oh, no, Donald, we can't do that. Do it. And then they do it, and the left loses their minds, and it's hilarious. So that's where we're at. And Rosie has earned her place this week as Clown of the Week because this is too far. This is a bridge too far. This was the point where she went, all right, the rape and the extortion and everything else was too much, but this is too far. This is just too far. She really should take her therapist's words. And I don't know, if I was so upset with a leader or anyone you have to deal with in some way, shape, or form, that it forced me, it made me make a decision that I am leaving the country. I don't know, I'd be so obsessed with it. I might be entertained. I might talk about it, but she looks like a lunatic anytime his name comes up. She can't even mention his name. Like, I left New York City because, or New York State, because of all the political implications, the taxes, the infringement on my Second Amendment right, the danger of walking around. And I talk about it still, but I laugh and I go, all right, good job, New York. Have fun. She left the United States, but she's still, I think, unbelievably depressed and anxious and psychologically troubled by Donald Trump. Yeah, I don't know. We'll be back in moments. I swear I'll take your calls next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, 800-848-9222. Let's talk to Kenny in Bridgeport. Kenny, what's up, man?
Oh, hi, Ant. Your show is terrific.
Thank
Rosie's going to look cute wearing a babushka. And,
yeah.
Because Ireland's being invaded. And I just want to say that, like Omar always has their head covered because she's bald. They're not going to deport her, just like Hillary wasn't going to jail. If they don't repeal the 65 Immigration Act, the country's over. Omar will be in charge of the largest arsenal of atomic weapons in the world, America's, because they're not deporting her. And they got to get rid of the 65 Immigration Act. If they don't, the country's finished. Go Buchanan, go Buchanan, go.
Yes. He always gets through with a little go Buchanan, but that was, hey, I liked what he said. Well, what are you going to do? James in Queens, AOC country, James. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Listen, about immigration.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake is that the American public should know, but doesn't do anything about it, in that there are very strict laws and requirements for anyone coming here alleging asylum or refugee refugee status. The point is, what they should do now is anyone who wants to come here must, if it's feasible in their country, make application through the American Embassy, American Consulate, and have a waiting period so that all for vetting can be done. If they fail their vetting, they're denied. This precludes the presence of so many people. I walk in the streets of my neighborhood, and there are people who are, they even admit that they're illegally here.
Yeah.
And what I asked one was a simple question. You came 8,000 miles north to sell fruits and vegetables that you were doing in your own country. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And their response is they pull out a EBT card from the city.
Yeah, free. When they talk about free, they're not talking about freedom. It's weird. Yeah, I come to New York because I want to be free. Oh, you want everything you get to be free. That's different than what the actual reason was supposed to be. And James, let me tell you another thing. If you came here as a refugee, you wanted some type of political asylum, amnesty, you're fleeing an oppressive country, a dangerous country where you were marked for death for your ideology, the way you lived your life, your religion, whatever it is. Would you have any loyalty whatsoever to your former nation? Would you want to go back and visit your former nation? Would you send money back to that former nation, that's, to me, tells me right away that they are fleeing nothing. They're coming here to steal our money and send it back to their country for whatever, to warlords and corrupt government officials to continue their business of being a horrible, oppressive, murderous, corrupt government. So that right there tells you how ridiculous and fake this amnesty garbage is.
True. I object to their presence here because they don't put anything into the country except their bodies and their belongings. Mm-hmm. That's really bad, because the future of America, if you're going to be here and you want to be an American, you better get wise as to what the requirements are, and you better do it. If you can't do it, get the hell out.
Then you get out. It's that simple. And James, why is it so shocking to want that, to say that to people? People would look at you and be like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard from somebody. When it makes perfect sense. It's actually a reasonable request of people that are coming here. Why do they look at you like you're crazy when you say it?
It's like if you work for a company, you get a job with a particular company, conform to their standards. Same thing with the United States.
That's it. I don't know. Hopefully something happens, James. It's looking grim, though. It's looking grim. All right. Thank you, James. Can you believe it? I'm looking at the time here. I got to do math. I'm like 56, 8, 10. Nope, don't have enough time to play that clip. But yeah. All right. Well, coming up, you know how I love delving into one of my favorite places in the United States, Hollywood. That's right. We have a couple of more Hollywood. Well, one of them is an icon. Another one has been on a very popular television show. And the bravery, the courage of these two actors to come out and badmouth Donald Trump. It's beyond me. They are going to lose work. They're not going to be able to audition for anything, dinner theater, they can't get a gig at, because their courage and commitment to bashing Donald Trump is more important than them getting a job in the conservative, Republican, right-wing Hollywood, California. I'll tell you who these fine actors are right after these words.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And we had a call from James in the last hour there, and talking about how a lot of these immigrants and refugees and people that are coming over here aren't giving anything back to the country. They're not assimilating. They're not opening up opportunities for everyone else in the country. Like, a lot of immigrants came over here, and because of what they learned back in their home country and the culture they had in their home country, like Italians, I'll take that, because I'm Italian. And, masons, stone carvers, and you could see their legacy everywhere in this country. Buildings, miraculous buildings. And that's part of the culture they brought over here that benefits everyone in the country, regardless of where they came from. And I scroll on X during the breaks here on the show. Anthony Cumia is my X account, so you could go there and comment if you can't make it through on the phones. And this is from Eminem's dead Uncle Ronnie. Eminem's dead Uncle Ronnie. To what James said, they also fill up the jobs, and they don't hire anyone but other immigrants. I'm a line cook, and when I go to restaurants and ask for a job, the manager's Mexican. Can I have a job? No, we're not hiring. All they care about is the bubble they live in. You look at a place like Minneapolis, Minnesota, Dearborn, Michigan, and it's like, the Somalis that have come here, they're great for the community. They open businesses. They're doctors. They're teachers. For the Somalis. They don't branch out and teach. Well, thank God, in some instances, they don't branch out and can teach classes of diverse children, white kids. They just can't do it. They don't want to do it. So they come here from these countries, and that's the big, big difference between the new immigrants that are coming here adhering to their old country's rules and ethics and everything else, and these old school immigrants that we have to hear brought up by liberals every time, going, the country is built by immigrants. Immigrants are this, immigrant that. Yeah, the way it used to be, the sensible way. And the way these immigrants wanted to come to America to become Americans, not open up a new branch of the crap hole they came from, like Somalia. Oh, Minneapolis, it's Somalia. Oh, we love that people have come here to this country. Their dedication and loyalty to their old country is so much stronger than anything they have for America. They have disdain for America. They don't like it. They don't like the way we live our lives. They don't like our customs, traditions, ideals. And then we're just supposed to put that in the same category as great grandpa coming from Italy or Ireland or Germany or France and bringing parts of their culture and their talents over here that actually benefit the entire nation, not this little bubble of the same race, creed, culture, religion, because they're incompatible with the rest of the country. That's what's happening, folks, in case you didn't know. I spilt on my laptop during the commercial break, but I think the phones are still working. So we'll give it a try. Let me see. Boom. My good friend every week, he calls. Joaquin, what's up?
Hey, good day, Anthony. Hey, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you can do that. I'll wish you one myself.
Yes, Feliz Navidad and all that other good stuff.
All right? That stuff.
Hey, I'd like to take you back and reminisce about your days on O&A.
Oh, the Opie and Anthony show, yes.
Yes. Do you remember how you used to mock fundamental Christians?
Did I? Hey, look, we all grow. We all realize through seeing, living, and experiencing that perhaps we weren't the smartest guy in the world and didn't know everything. So, yeah, I could see myself doing that. I thought they were a little too right-wing and too crazy. I was never a liberal by any stretch of the imagination, but I always felt it seemed extreme and a little culty at times. But when you look at the left and the fact that they have to be battled by something that is equal to what they're doing in this country, I found some more admiration in the religious right.
My point was really not to condemn you, but you just said some very interesting things, because the thing of it is fundamental Christianity was never a danger to anyone, a physical threat of any kind, okay?
Right.
And you see, that speech that you perpetrated was protected, The problem is now they're passing all these hate speech laws, and guess who they're designed to protect? They're designed to protect the very people who want to attack the values and the foundation of Judeo-Christian white Western civilization, And also, too, Australia was originally founded as a penile company,
right?
Country.
I think we all know that by now. Yep.
And so I found it amazing that as you look into Australia, and there's a couple of people in Australia that I follow on X, particularly a guy named Jason Howard. He's a pretty tough guy. Mm-hmm. And, the Australians in general, for some reason, they're very submissive people, okay? You look at what they did in Australia during COVID, the tyranny that the people were subjected to, and they went for it. And not only that, when it comes to gun control, the Australians voted by a very, very large percentage. I forgot what the exact number was.
Handed the guns right over to the government. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to take a look at this, because this is our future. And unfortunately, I hate to say it because someone said they wanted to do a call-in show about, people's predictions for 2026.
Yeah.
I have a very, very bleak outlook for 2026. Mm-hmm. If for some reason, people don't actually wake up, open their eyes, and realize that everything that Donald Trump is doing is the correct thing. And if we lose in these midterms this year, this country is screwed. And if we lose the presidency, if they take total control of everything, all it takes is just to go back, to the 2020 election and to see how they rounded up thousands of Americans, and put them in jail and destroyed so many people's lives, like Trump, they didn't destroy his. But, they did. But Rudy Giuliani, who went to prison and lost everything he has, what they've done to these people. And this is our future. If we don't wake up and see that this is coming, because we're going to be exactly like the rest of these countries, and we have to, and we have to understand something. This whole affordability issue, this has been brought to us by the Obama or Biden administrations. And when it comes to food prices and, the price of beef, they already deliberately started attacking Obama when they started stealing all the state lands and federalized them, and then excluded ranchers from being able to graze their cattle on those ranches. That's a big, part of the problem of that. And they keep trying to destroy, the eggs, the chicken, and the poultry industry.
Right.
All of this
and it's all supply and demand. I mean, you cut down on the supply, there's going to be demand. The prices go up. The availability goes down. And, that's one of their schemes, as they say down under.
And also, too, I hate to say it, I wish that Trump would get rid of Bondi because, if they don't seriously get in there and start investigating the events of, the 2020, the theft of the election, and how that the January 6th was a Fedsurrection, as Roger Stone likes to call it, we are not going to straighten things out in this country because there's still so many people, in office, and some of them Republicans, who are working their best to try and rip us apart.
Yeah, Bondi... she looks great for a woman in her 60s, but other than that, she's useless. I have never seen an appointment as useless as Bondi is. She's done nothing. All talk, all this big talk about what's going to be exposed, how they're digging into this. This one's going to be indicted. This one, and what have we gotten out of her? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Well, and this is the thing. I think when they let Bongino go, I think that Bongino really was not down with what the rest of them, Patel and Bondi, were doing. And something, everybody goes after Pete Hegseth, but so far he's been one hell of an efficient Secretary of War.
Yeah, I mean, that
guy,
he doesn't back down. I like him. I like Hegseth. All right, Joaquin, thanks. I got to move on, but thanks a lot for the call. I appreciate your words every week. Thanks, man. There's Joaquin. He's over there in PA. I was considering Pennsylvania for the move when I left New York, but, that whole swing state thing is a little iffy. And Philly, Pittsburgh, I'm not it's a little too close to the New York area. Their taxes are good. And they have a pretty good Second Amendment record, but and then the weather, there's nothing. You are getting no improvement from New York or Connecticut, Jersey, North Jersey. You're getting no improvement weather-wise. So South Carolina, that's where it's at. I heard some gunfire last night, 3 a.m, bam, 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 bam. And you don't even really think about it. You get a little pissed. Like, who's rattling off a dozen rounds of what sounded like, I don't know, 30-06? at 3 a.m. So I look on my Ring camera community, what people are talking about on their Ring cameras. Some people are so stupid with that. You want to smack them. Did anyone see a helicopter tonight? What's with the helicopter? It's on your Ring app. These messages come up from your dopey neighbors that also have Ring cameras, and they just want to talk about something. I heard a siren. Yeah, it happens. But I heard this gunfire, and I look at my camera, and a message popped up from a neighbor, and it was 7 minutes before the gunfire, and it said, there's a coyote walking around. Here's a picture of it. Make sure your pets are inside and your chickens are locked up in the coop. And then it had to be 10 minutes later. I'm just hearing this volley of gunfire at 3 a.m. So I put two and two together and assumed it's someone shooting at that very coyote. But South Carolina, at least certain parts of it, most of it actually, is a state where you hear that and you don't automatically jump in your bathtub for cover, put grandma or your chow under the bed. It's you hear gunfire. It's part of that's how we do down here. That's how we do. All right, people, back in a flash. Don't you move.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and as promised, I said it earlier, we're going to delve into Tinseltown, the wonderful world of Hollywood. Here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the red carpet at Grauman's Chinese Theater. It's Clark Gable. The old days where we actually gave a flying you-know-what about celebrity and Hollywood and film, the actors and actresses. Now they open their yap without a script, and we can't stand what's come out of their yaps. Ugh. So it's disheartening. Some of them I enjoy. I enjoy their work. I enjoy their movies, over the course of the years. But the second they open their mouths, you really have to weigh the appreciation you have for their work and the hatred you have for the people that they are, and will that sway you into not watching what they've done over the course of the years, their legacy. And I had this conversation with Gavin McInnes the other day, and we were talking about, of course, Robert De Niro comes up a lot in this conversation. You're looking at, because it's just the extremes of both ends. A guy whose body of work is astounding. I doubt there's anyone that doesn't have a Robert De Niro movie in their top 10 movies, probably top 5. And he's also a guy that whenever he's opened his mouth, you grit your teeth and you're just cursing under your breath at what a tool this guy is. So both ends of that spectrum. And I got to say, there is no way I'm not watching Casino, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, King of Comedy, Taxi Driver. I'm going to watch those movies, regardless of what a jackass this guy has proved himself to be over the course of the years. So I'm not going to take it in a way where I'm going to, what my mom used to love saying, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. I never knew what that meant when I was 7. Why do they give you those sayings when you're like 6 and 7 years old? All I thought was, I'm literally, like, you're a kid. It's literal. So I cut my nose off. I don't know what spite even means, mother. So your words mean nothing to me. But now I understand what that means. So I'm not going to sacrifice enjoying watching a film like Goodfellas because Robert De Niro is such a jackass. And there's plenty of other people like Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, I love his acting. Movies over the course of the years have been amazing. Mr. Mom, one of the funniest, most quotable movies back in the 80s when that came out. Oh, you want a drink? It's 7 in the morning. You want a beer? It's 7 in the morning. Scotch? And his delivery. Batman. When they said he was going to be Batman, everyone's like, are you out of your mind? He was a great Batman. So, again, another guy that I'm just not going to not watch his work, but another Hollywood douche, I must say. So here's Michael Keaton. He's talking about Trump and the famous Trump statement about I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for me. Remember that? And again, Michael Keaton, another one of these idiots that just didn't understand what he really meant by that statement. Michael?
They don't really respect you. They laugh at you behind your back. They think you're stupid. They don't want to hang out with you. They have nothing in common with you. They're not your bros. And I'm telling you, when Trump, years ago, I guess, said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for me, basically what he's saying in parentheses is, these people are so stupid, they're so dumb, they'd still vote for me. They have no respect for you. Trust me.
You see? You see how they look at things through that liberal filter? Because, first of all, not bros. He doesn't like you. He doesn't want to hang out with you. Why do these liberals always think we need a president that would hang out with us, that we can relate to? Oh, Trump's a billionaire. He's not going to sit and have a beer with you. Yeah, I don't care. I don't need the president to be my friend. They needed Obama and Biden. They care about us. First of all, no, they don't. They're professional politicians. They do not care about you. We understand that. The last thing we're looking for is this daddy figure in Donald Trump. And when he said I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, they'd still vote for me, he's not looking at us like we're idiots because he could shoot someone and we'd go, duh, I'm voting for him anyway. What he meant, and he was correct in every way, shape, and form about this, is that the other side is so bad. The left, the Democrats, liberals, Biden, Obama, that whole ilk is so incredibly bad that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and we'd still vote for him. That's not Trump saying, look how dumb my voters are and my supporters that they'd still vote for me if I shot someone. That's saying they're so bad, they are so unelectable that I could do something heinous and people would go, well, he's still better than the left, still better than Biden or Hillary Rodham Clinton. That's what he meant, you dope. I will still watch your movies. I will still watch your movies. What was that one with the Japanese cars? Hilarious. But I think you're an idiot. I think you're a complete buffoon and a tool. And that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood. What is it, 27th? Well, I might not get to the Brad Garrett one. He's the other one, Brad Garrett. And he's a funny guy. I mean, or is he? Or is he? I don't know. Everyone loves Raymond. Everyone or everybody? Everyone. Everyone loves Raymond. You know, Ray Romano, he played his brother, the cop. Pretty standard delivery with his line. It was a one-trick pony kind of a thing. I hear he's kind of funny at stand-up. I'm not going to despise him or not watch something he's in because he's an idiot, but he is indeed an idiot. And he's another one that I think in the clip, I'll play the clip after the break, calls Trump a narcissist and says other things. Well, yeah, a narcissist. Yeah, you run for the president of the United States. First of all, he became a billionaire very young, Donald Trump. And then he becomes the president. Every single president of the United States is a narcissist. I'm so sure of this. You can't possibly think you could be the leader of the free world without being a narcissist. Hey, you want to lead the planet Earth? Yeah, I'm good enough to do that. I'm awesome. I could lead the planet Earth. I mean, all right, we'll play the Brad Garrett thing. More of your calls. Don't go anywhere. More show next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we're talking a little about Hollywood. Yuck. Did we used to love it. We sat through stupid things in the 70s called variety shows. Remember? ABC, NBC, CBS. Tonight, the announcer always yelled for some reason. Tonight, Bing Crosby. Charo. You're like, what? And they'd have these variety shows because we just adored Hollywood celebrities. Didn't care what they did. Didn't care. Telly Savalas singing a Pink Floyd song. What? I'm in. Because he's a celebrity. And that's how we looked at Hollywood. We adored them. They were better than us. And now they just open their mouth and destroy any legacy. That they crumble. They crumble right in front of us when they open their yaps. So Michael Keaton, we had just before the break played a little of that, and somebody informed me on X that the movie I was thinking of was Gung Ho. Randy Michael on X. Thank you so much. Gung Ho. Funny Michael Keaton movie. I'll watch Gung Ho if it's on, even though Michael Keaton is a blithering idiot. The other one, Brad Garrett. Brad Garrett. Good for Brad. He's had a little career with Everyone Loves Raymond, and then he does stand-up. He's got comedy clubs in Vegas and whatnot. But another one that thinks, does he think it's brave? Does he think it's advantageous to just crap on Donald Trump like every other Hollywood cult member does? And don't tell me on X, oh, what, Anthony, Trump can't do anything wrong. You kiss his ass, you do this. I absolutely mention when Trump screws up, when he does things I think are ridiculous. I bring it up. I talk about that. But most of it is this left-wing emotional stuff. I don't care about that. I don't care that he said Rob Reiner died of Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, that was funny. But I don't care. I said it was an inappropriate message. Wrong place, wrong time. I get that. But what am I going to do? All these people, they're so emotional. You should call them out. No. Kick out illegals. Get ICE throwing them out. I love it. Can't get enough of that. Great stuff. Get the gas prices down. Someone the other day was talking about how fuel prices are so high. It's amazingly low right now. $2 and change. Under $2.50 a gallon where I am. And California, of course, is $4.80 a gallon because of the California taxes they put all over the fuel. So good luck there. But, you know, I call Trump out when he needs to be called out. when it's some emotional garbage you lefties are. He said this. Why won't you denounce Trump for saying this? I don't care what he says. I could disagree with it. I could find it inappropriate. I could find it stupid. And I'll say that. But what is that going to be? Yes, get him out of office. This is terrible. No. He's doing good for the country. I like what he's doing. Does he sound insane sometimes? Well, how could you deny it? Yes, he does. But I don't care about that. I didn't vote for him to sound sane. I voted for him to do things I want a president to do in this country. I don't care if he sounds bat crap crazy. So Brad Garrett, he took that brave Hollywood stance of bashing President Trump. And let's listen to Brad. Brad?
Well, I think the question is, did Brendan do it hard or easy? I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just hoping we're not back to black and white movies only. But I'll tell you what I think this is all about, the hearings and with the FCC. We have a malignant narcissist sitting in the White House. And if people don't do his bidding all through the government, it's going to be hell to pay. I love how Jimmy Kimmel is doubling down in his monologues and how Stephen Colbert are still doing what they do best, Jon Stewart. This is an important time for all artists to stand up. And we're used to doing things hard because it's a difficult industry. So I'm excited that Jimmy's going strong and that ABC extended his contract, all the things that should be happening,
Hard? It's hard? What's difficult about being a lefty Hollywood jackass and crapping on the president? I mean, what's hard about that? What chances are you taking? He's talking like Kimmel took a chance. Talking about that was a stunt, that whole thing that happened when he got removed from the airwaves. And it's like, oh, it's because ABC was going through a deal and the head of the FCC was told by Trump to get rid of nonsense. It's all about money. It's all about money. And if you are a left-wing propagandist for the lefty powers that be, you don't have to worry. It's hard. Oh, is it? And then he comes back, and then they give him a contract extension. Ooh, when I said stuff that got my ass thrown off of Sirius XM, they didn't come back to me a week later and give me a contract extension. It took the dummies at WABC to rehire me. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Thank you. I'm forever indebted. I hope they get that I'm a shock jock at heart. My bosses, look out. I'm going to take this job and shove it down. Remember the old shock jock Friday afternoon? Working for the weekend. They played that. Yeah, I didn't get any negotiation for a new contract. They threw my ass out of there, and it was permanent. So it's so hard being a lefty. Brad Garrett. Oh, God. It's nauseating how they honestly believe that they're doing the heavy lifting, that they're the ones that are taking the risks and the chances when they say things about the establishment, because they think the power lies with Donald Trump, this dictator that, by the way, has done nothing to hinder anyone on television or radio or anything. You can't say that for the Biden administration, and especially online. They have tried numerous times, and they still talk about it with glee. They talk about controlling the misinformation that is going out online. Hillary Clinton in that clip from weeks ago when she talks about, if we don't curtail the misinformation and disinformation online, we'll lose control. Control over who? Us? And what are you considering misinformation? The 2020 election? That we're just finding out that 310,000 votes weren't certified? That one? And if you even mentioned that after the election, you were thrown off of social media, never to return again. Did you see that story? Did you see that, people? Did you see that? Yeah, that's happening. Rudy Giuliani. They're talking about, will this guy be able to be a lawyer again in New York and D.C.? He was disbarred because he was found guilty of saying that the 2020 election might not have been on the up and up. And now this information comes out of Georgia. A state, by the way, that went to Biden by a little over 11,000 votes. And there are 310,000 votes that were not signed and certified. Where did they come from? Who were they? What? Who? Huh? So, yeah, what is misinformation or disinformation, Hillary Rodham? Again, who gets to determine what the criteria is? I'll tell you what the whole motive is, what she said at the end of that statement. We'll lose control. The worst thing that could possibly happen to them was Elon Musk buying Twitter, turning it into X, and not booting people for their opinions that weren't in line with the government. Because we saw what happened in 2020. And before that, in 2016, when Trump was elected, they started the great purge of the right, the Republicans, conservatives off of social media. That's what we saw. And by 2020, you were hard-pressed to find enough Republicans to speak up on the biggest social media platform out there. And believe me, they weren't getting help from Facebook or any other platform either. YouTube. And it had a great effect on motivating and mobilizing the Republicans and Trump supporters. And then when Elon bought it and brought back a lot of people that had a strong voice on the right, myself included, the whole complexion of the election, it changed. It changed. And we got to see real debate happen on social media again. It wasn't just a bubble for the left. And it had an effect, and it still does to this day. And they hate it. That's Hillary's idea of misinformation and disinformation. It's not the information that they want out there. True, false, or indifferent. They just want to control what information is getting out there. That's the truth of it. And the fact that we'd lose control was what she said. Ooh, chilling. It's chilling. Dystopian. Right? Orwellian. Or some other alien. But, oof, it is frightening. Frightening to behold. Yeah, what else do we got here? This is, I love this one. We'll start talking about the executive order that Trump signed, and RFK signed a directive, and these are banning the mutilation of children, we're seeing this. I mean, we've seen it over the course of the years. It is a combination of this power base, this entity that wants to destroy every single ideological aspect of America. They want to take what we've always considered decency, the right thing to do, distinguishing good from bad, right from wrong, raising children properly, all those things we hold dear as Americans. And it's just this whole gender-affirming care thing and mutilating children under this Munchausen syndrome by proxy that's going on is disgusting. It's disgusting. But it is going on. So Trump signed an executive order and wants it federally banned. A federal ban. So regardless of the state you're in and how liberal that state is or city, doctors cannot remove healthy breasts from young people because for 20 minutes during a very confusing time of their life, they thought they were the other gender. These are the same people, it's kind of cliche, but the same people that wouldn't allow a kid to get a tattoo because that's too permanent. They'll have you destroy your reproductive organs, take hormones until you're disfigured as the gender you're supposed to be, with facial hair, and it's criminal mutilation. Criminal mutilation. They call it gender-affirming care. Like everything else, they rename things. If you are so proud of what you're doing and felt what you're doing is so right, why do you have to name it in a way that sounds positive? Why is abortion just called some kind of reproductive care? Reproductive means you're reproducing. It's the opposite of aborting something. But it's like to deny women reproductive health care. Oh, you got to call it that because you don't want to say to deny women abortions. It sounds terrible because it is terrible. And with gender-affirming care, it's gender-denying mutilation. You're not affirming someone's gender. To affirm their gender would be, what were you born, a boy? Well, let's affirm that you're a boy. And you'll get health care based on the fact that you are a boy. And that is your gender. To say that a boy now wants to be a girl and we're going to give them gender-affirming care by mutilating them, by giving them hormonal treatment that'll screw up their organs and their reproductive system, to surgically alter them, to cut off your forearm, to fashion some Frankenstein sexual organ, to cut off healthy organs. A doctor should be imprisoned for doing such a thing. That's gender-affirming care? I don't think so. But there are people that do think so, and we'll hear from them next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yep, the Anthony Cumia Show right here. And we're talking about gender-affirming care. Trump signed an executive order. I believe the goal here is to deny gender-affirming care nationally, the entire country, because this is gender-denying mutilation is what it should be called. And some people think this is the worst thing ever, that they're all for the mutilation of children. Remember, here's something you don't hear about anymore because of the hypocrisy in this country. there was genital mutilation in some of the sub-Saharan countries and Islamic nations that are Islamic, ruled by Islamic law, Sharia law, and they would mutilate the sexual organs of young women. And this was a thing people used to talk about and say, this has to be stopped. We can't have this. We want to raise awareness. And now you don't hear about it because the United States of America has gotten worse in their actions with this garbage, gender-affirming care, this lie of gender-affirming care, cutting off healthy organs. I can't even imagine what a woman who has been through an ordeal where she was medically, it was necessary, life or death, for her to get a double mastectomy. And the turmoil that must cause somebody, the sorrow you feel for it, and the pain, literally, and the physical and mentally, the pain. And there are doctors that are cutting off healthy breasts of young women just because, like I said, for 10 minutes, they thought they were a boy. And that, to me, is criminal. So here's Representative Pramila Jayapal. It's like a knockoff Star Wars movie name. Well, Pramila Jayapal. She's yelling about the executive order and saying denying gender-affirming care is a terrible, terrible thing. Pramila,
And the most common form of gender-affirming care for young people is medications that simply pause puberty and have been used safely for decades. So why do my colleagues across the aisle, so-called limited government people, suddenly want government to get in the way of the decisions that parents and their kids make together? Why do they want to stop children from getting medical care that has been proven to be safe and effective and helps them to live happily? Helps them to live. Just live.
Ooh, that voice. Oh, imagine that. You're trying to go to sleep at night and she comes in the room and you didn't take the garbage out. What? You don't care about. Anyway, maybe I'm a little off track. So, did you hear when she goes, most of the kids that are transitioning, trans children, all they do, for the most part, is get medication that, and here it was, simply pauses puberty, Simply. Is that something you can say simply? Literally putting the brakes on what nature is doing to you? Normal, natural progression of a child going through adolescence. Simply. What? Simply. To call the process of puberty and maturing from child to adult something that you would say simply pausing that is insane. It's mental illness to say something like that. But they are so just steadfast. And then California Senator Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener. Yeah, his name's Wiener. I will never not laugh at someone's name when it's Wiener. It's got to be the worst name to grow up with. There is no way a parent should send a child to school with the name Wiener. You really need to change the child's name. Actually, how about I go even further? How about the mother never marries a guy with the name Wiener. He could be the greatest guy in the world, and he's like, I'd like to marry you, sweetheart. Oh, it's so sudden. The ring is beautiful. Mrs. Wiener. I'm Mrs. Wiener. Yeah, you are. And your kids are all going to be little wieners. You don't want that. I can't imagine the torture you'd go through as a wiener in school. Anyway, let me see where I am. Okay, so this is Scott Wiener, and he, too, is very upset about the executive order denying gender-affirming care. Mr. Wiener. Oh, you don't have that? Oh, God. AC5 is the sound clip? All right. That's okay.
Today, Trump did one of the cruelest things that he's done so far, and he's done a lot of cruel things. He issued a proposed rule. It's not final yet, and it's going to be litigated, but a proposed rule to effectively eliminate health care for trans young people in any hospitals. And what he did was to say to hospitals, if you commit the mortal sin of providing health care to trans kids, even if their families support it, even if their doctors support it, you're going to lose all Medicare and Medicaid funding, which would effectively mean closing down hospitals. So these people, they hate trans people so much that they're willing to close down entire hospitals if that hospital, God forbid, provides health care to a trans young person. This is despicable. It's bigoted. We need to make sure that hospitals don't just accept this. We have to fight this. And I also want to say...
Yeah, you cut him off there. Yeah. Health care. They call it health care, but it's mutilation. Back talking about more of this in moments. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome, welcome. We love you. Yeah, we were talking about the trans thing always popping up. Such a small percentage of the population, and it's such a huge issue for some reason. It shouldn't be. Because I swear, you want to live your life. I'm one of those guys. Just say, live your life, be happy, do what you want. It's when you force the rest of the people to have to play the game, join in with the illusion, with the fantasy. And then the other thing is when you're just committing crimes against God. Is that a bit much? But I think when you're altering children's bodies, you're playing, you're playing a pretty tricky game there with things that are just supposed to be the way they are. If a child reaches adulthood and decides, I'm still that, that's one thing. And then there's the argument, well, if you catch them young, then they have a much easier chance of transforming into their gender without looking like a man if they want to be a woman. You know, you nip the whole puberty thing, and then they just go through life looking prepubescent with no hair and no this and no that. You're like, this you're trying to play God. You're literally playing Satan, but you're trying to play God. It's a weird thing to do. And the people that defend it, just crazy. RFK, he signed a directive banning trans surgeries nationwide. If you could take his voice, let's listen to RFK, because he makes sense. He makes sense here, even with that voice. I love the guy, but wow, it's tough to listen to. When I hear him talk, I'm constantly going like, you just want to clear his throat by osmosis. But here he is. Here's RFK talking about banning trans surgeries nationwide.
Doctors assume a solemn obligation to protect children. Yet doctors across the country now provide needless and irreversible sex-rejecting procedures that violate their sacred Hippocratic oath by endangering the very lives that they are sworn to safeguard. The American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, peddled the lie that chemical and surgical sex-rejecting procedures could be good for children who suffer from gender dysphoria. They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. So-called gender-affirming care has inflicted lasting physical and psychological damage on vulnerable young people. This is not medicine, it is malpractice. We're done with junk science driven by ideological pursuits, not the well-being of children. A peer-reviewed report published by the HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health last month confirms that sex-rejecting procedures impose medical dangers and lasting harm on children who receive these interventions. So today we are taking 6 decisive actions, guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This morning I signed a declaration. Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
We can cut it off there. I can't take any more. Listening to the voice, it's such a shame. Imagine he had that same voice as his dad and his uncle. Sex rejecting procedures must be stopped in this country. Hey, my wife gives me a sex rejecting procedure every night. Okay, all right. Yeah, boy, he lost out on that great Kennedy voice. Ask not what your country can. It just doesn't have the same oomph. Yeah. Ich bin ein sound silly when I talk. Poor bastard. But he makes perfect sense. You certainly don't want to chemically or medically, physically mutilate children. It's to that point. Does that even sound like something that needs to be argued? Would this have been an issue in the 50s? The 60s started getting real stupid in this country. But let's go back to the 50s. Leave It to Beaver. Ironically enough, I've chosen that title. Leave It to Beaver. Let's change the name. Yeah. The 50s, that never would have been debated. Should you mutilate a child because he thinks he's another sex or her? Ba 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 bang a dang dang a ding a dong ding ding. What? Crazy. But yeah, good for them. I like the way, Trump and his administration are just plowing through this nonsense without walking on eggshells or having to excuse what they said. Walk about. When was the last time you heard that phrase, walk it back, walking it back? That was a staple of the Biden puppet regime. They'd get that mop head the press secretary up there at the podium, and the media would be like, "What did Biden mean when he said this?" Well, he's walked that back, or the media goes, "They walked back the statement that was made." You never hear Trump walked back a statement. It doesn't happen. How do you not appreciate that? What him and his administration are saying at the time they're saying it is what it is. It doesn't get tested and polled, and the media says this, and then they say, well, I didn't really mean that. What I meant was, that's just phony. It's bull. It's bull. Even the Rob Reiner thing. He didn't go, walk that back. He didn't care. Yeah, he died of Trump derangement syndrome. The funniest statement about a double murder I've ever heard in my life. Ever. Oh, my God. If you think things aren't a little dicey in this country between what we just talked about and the border and illegals and the Muslims, Somalis, it's never ending. How about this? There's a place, what is it? Hamtramck, Michigan? Wacky names. Those are Indian names, right? Isn't that like a lot of Indian names up there in Michigan? There's a debate going on. And here's another thing that never should be debated. Bang-a-dang-dang, animal sacrifices. In the 50s, they never would have done that. Blue moon, you're combing your hair back in the bathroom. Hey, did you choke your chicken? What do you mean, like take care of myself? No, literally, choke your chicken. Bang. They're debating about animal sacrifice, killing animals for their religion. And do we really need this ilk of immigrant coming over here where they're not even embarrassed? They don't even think maybe if I say that I sacrifice animals for my religion that I'm kind of going to be ostracized, and maybe they'll say, perhaps you've stopped off at the wrong country. You should have made a right at Illinois and ended up in Canada. They'll accept any idiot up in Canada. I should have made that left turn at Albuquerque. But they're arguing, debating whether people should be allowed to sacrifice animals in Hamtramck, Michigan. Here is parts of the debate and some coverage on it. Let's listen. AC 14?
According to the ordinance, quote, the owning, keeping, or harboring of pigs, horses, cows, sheep, goats, llamas, domestic fowl, outdoor rabbits is prohibited, and this section does not apply for temporary religious sacrificial purposes as permitted by law.
Our city is dirty enough. We don't want to make more dirty.
Debates raged on for at least 3 hours at Hamtramck City Hall over the new ordinance of sacrificing animals.
Really ridiculous, catastrophic resolution.
If it's not passed, then we are ready to take it to the court for the religious rights. It is constitution.
This was the second debate of the new ordinance, and there was a crowd outside of the City Hall chambers filling out cards to speak, and they were watching it on closed-circuit TV.
No, it's not safe or sane or humane because basements or kitchens or backyards are not suitable places for live animal slaughter.
Many people, including Muslim residents, were against it, citing sanitary concerns if the animals are sacrificed in a home and not in a sterile environment, especially in the tight-knit neighborhoods of Hamtramck. The ordinance that was passed on Tuesday night says religious sacrificing of animals can be done as long as it is done legally and humanely.
I think it's the best compromise. We don't want to restrict religious freedoms.
Oh, you don't?
We don't want to keep it random without regulations.
Many Muslims pay a butcher to perform the religious sacrifice, but for some families, it's just not practical, says Nawar Ali with CARE Michigan.
A lot of families will typically do it in the confines of their property, like in their backyard, their garage.
That's great.
And again, dispose of the animal accordingly.
That's fantastic.
And we do have that full ordinance up on
our
website.
You could cut them right there. That's fantastic, isn't it? Isn't it? I've harbored some pigs. I ask him to leave out the back door in the morning so my friends don't see. Oh, gosh. Why are we debating animal sacrifice in 2025 United States of America? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I implore you. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. It certainly is. Let's go to Scott in Venice, Paris, France, Venice, Italy,
Florida.
Venice, Florida. What's up?
Hey, Ant. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm very good. You know me better. I post online as Rex Kramer.
Oh, I love you. Sure. You join in on all my live streams, and we play golf or Battlefield 6. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, brother. Listen, you talked before about how, you think the younger generation's coming around to conservative thinking, and, maybe it's getting better. But what happens when they get married, they have kids? Are they going to have the strength of their convictions to still believe that? Because, when somebody comes knocking at your door wanting something, your first thought's not going to be, hey, they're going to take my guns. I got to worry about my kids and my family and how am I going to feed them? Kind of like the whole forcing us to take the COVID shot.
Yeah, hasn't that always been the conundrum though? When people have kids, and
I guess
the most important thing becomes their kids, so they're willing to capitulate to things they don't want to do, and they go, well, I'd fight, but I have kids. I don't know. It seems like a few generations have been able to kind of weigh that out and ride the line and still be.
Well, I mean, I think about your parents, my parents. They came from a generation like, I'm going to fight because of my kids. I'm doing this to make sure they have a future that's going to be great and they're going to have a great America to live in. I don't know if people have that kind of foresight anymore when it comes to. I mean, I don't have kids, so I have the benefit of not worrying about that.
Right.
My wife and I both have an agreement. Government comes knocking on the door looking for my pews. Well, guess what? There's going to be probably 2 dead bodies in my doorway.
Jesus. God
but
forbid.
That's
God
the way I
forbid,
think.
Scott. We don't want to see anything like that. God forbid.
No, and I don't hope that happens, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue and the reason we've seen younger generations, especially over the past few years, not the ones we're talking about now that seem to be catching on to the nonsense that's been happening for quite some time now. It's the propaganda. It's the ability for the government and these nefarious entities to be able to influence parents and their kids to agree with them and to do whatever they want them to do is kind of coming to an end. This age of freedom of information we have now allows the individual to get a lot more information that isn't getting channeled through the government or government propaganda media like cable news and whatnot. So I think it's going to be harder and harder for the government and nefarious entities to influence people like they have been before we were able to research things, talk to each other, and really set aside this propaganda network of mainstream media.
Yeah, well, and also maybe because the X posts and the TikToks where the liberals are there screaming and hollering, you don't want to argue with them because you're like,
no, it's useless.
I call it the arrogance of their ignorance. They start screaming and hollering because they believe it, but they don't want to listen to any kind of rational thought.
No.
So the only way they get their point across is to scream and holler and walk away.
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good to start screaming and hollering back at them. Walking away is the best thing you can do. It's frustrating because you assume they are rational thinking beings and they have an opinion, you have an opinion. They're not the same. and we can debate it or have a conversation about it. They are incapable of debate. They don't even know half the time what they're passionate about or what they profess to be passionate about. They stand there at protests. They have their signs. They're yelling the chants that somebody out of a bullhorn is yelling. They're repeating it. And then when asked what you're doing out here, why are you protesting? What has this person done? What has this administration done? They do not have an answer. They put an umbrella in their face. They'll smack the camera out of their hand. They'll say, I'm not talking to you. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Things like that. Whereas a conservative who is asked a question sees it as a great opportunity to get their point of view out there and discuss it or debate it, because they are informed about it and they are passionate about it and want to talk about it. That is the biggest difference between young liberals and young conservatives. And I think the jig's up. People have seen it. Yeah, they're willing to start calling him out on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the whole, like you've said before, it's the tossing the Monopoly board up in the air when they run out of money.
Yes. Yeah. Screw this. No one can play now.
Right, exactly. It's only like, well, this is what I've been told, because they don't want to think for themselves. Anyway, have a great Merry Christmas and have a great New Year, Ann. It's always a pleasure.
You too, Scott. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate it. There goes Scott down there in Florida. Oh, I got to tell you, it's so wonderful. I was out today, and it's T-shirt weather. Oh, doesn't it take away from the Christmas spirit, the snow and the... No, it doesn't. I'm sure Scott down there in Florida can appreciate that. I'm sure everybody down here. My sister posted a picture on Instagram. It was her son is just sitting on a lounge chair out on the back patio with shorts on. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe it's the old thing. That's why people go to Florida when they get old. Hi, Dad, burn it. I've had enough of the cold weather. Snowbirds, they fly down south. But even when I was a kid out in California, Southern California, I loved it. Christmas Day, it wasn't cold. California, Southern California, it's probably rainy. But, you get that one moment where the snowfall and the cold and bundling up seems like, oh, this is nice. But after a few years, you get tired of it. What good is snow if you can't run around in it, make a snowman, get on a sled as a kid? And, you get older, you're not going to do that stuff. Now it's the pain in the ass of shoveling out, driving on streets where people can't drive when it's dry and warm out. And now you put a little ice under their tires, and that's a whole new ball game. So I am crotchety. I'm not quite like, the old, what was that guy's name? Cratchit? I don't know. But I'm not quite that crotchety, but I'm pretty crotchety. All right. Let me take a look here. We're almost, I want to talk about the former D.C. police chief. She has had to resign because of corruption in the numbers. I've talked about this so many times. I got so many friends that are cops, and they have always said that the brass, the upper echelon of their police departments, tell them constantly to do whatever it takes to make it look like crime is down. Make it look like you are accomplishing a mission, and that mission is driving down the crime numbers. Now, that could entail making arrests, actually prosecuting, making sure the police have the resources to do their jobs. Or you could fudge the numbers and get it done that way. And that's apparently what the former D.C. police chief Pam Smith was doing, and she's forced to retire. And we get to hear her postal speech at her resignation next. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we're talking about former D.C. Police Chief Pam Smith, and she's been ousted. There are allegations that she was telling people on the D.C. police force to fudge the numbers, turn that felony into a misdemeanor. Turn that misdemeanor into a violation. Turn that violation into nothing. And this has been going on for years. I have plenty of friends that are cops. And my buddy Keith the cop, a lieutenant on the NYPD, he retired a few years back. And I used to hear from him all the time. They'd call everybody into these meetings, and they'd have to present their arrests, their collars, and the upper echelon, the brass, is like, what is that? Why are you bringing that in here? Why didn't you take that and knock it down to this? You're making us look bad. That's the whole thing. And the mayor is really at the forefront of this, and the brass and the police department. Obviously, the police chief, someone like Pam Smith in D.C., would be in on this. It's an easy way to go, look how well we're doing. And then, like we see in New York, because this is happening in New York too. And then you see Governor Hochul crowing about the fact that crime numbers are down in New York. Did you hear, like, the subway? The subway is safer. The New York City subway is safer than it's been in decades. While we hear about people being set on fire, stabbings, punches, you're knocked on the floor, you're losing an eye, you're this, that. But it's safer. Because in the rare instance when someone's arrested, that charge gets whittled down to a violation or something that isn't even a criminal charge. And then when the books come out, they go, ooh, look at this. Less crime. Most of the crimes aren't even being reported anymore. People are so on to the fact that nothing will happen. It's a miracle if the cops even show up to take a report on an assault or whatever it is. Never mind pursuing it, following through, arresting someone. That person gets arraigned and then a trial and prosecute. It never happens. So every statistic you see about crime going down in these big high crime cities, it's all bull. It's garbage. It isn't happening. You see it. You see it with your eyes. I see videos on a daily basis that just shows how unbelievably dangerous these big cities are and public transportation is. So the D.C. police chief, Pam Smith, none too happy about being asked to resign her post for being involved in these scams, these scandals, this fraud, this corruption of not being honest and accurate with the crime numbers. Let's listen to Pam.
Never would I compromise my integrity. Never would I compromise 28 years in law enforcement for a few folk who couldn't stand to be held accountable. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again.
Holy mackerel.
So I'm going to the Bible when I say this to my haters. F you.
Whoa!
The same folks who said in that report that they changed their numbers, and I did not. The report is very clear. I did not direct anyone. You should investigate those folks.
Wow. She sounds angry. That was dramatic. What a tactless way to resign. She can't take responsibility for what she did. She's got to make it sound like someone else was trying to undermine her authority. And, and I'd do it again. She sounded, that first part of the clip, I did everything I was supposed to do. Frightening. But, yeah, she's gone. Don't worry, though. Don't worry, D.C. They will just DEI another police chief in there, and they will be just as incompetent and fraudulent and corrupt as old Pam was right there. That's the thing. For some reason, they think it's a movie when they appoint these police chief, fire chiefs, commissioners of this or that or the other thing. They think it's a movie, and they want to get the sassy black woman in there. Oh, I tell you, child, this is the way this is going to run now. And she's smart and effective and hardworking, and they go, yeah, let's do that. And then we realize life isn't like the movies. And she's just bitter and angry and probably racist. And any criticism whatsoever will be turned into something else, and she will take no responsibility. You see it over and over again. I can't tell you the last big city police chief I've seen that was, I don't know, a straight middle-aged or older white guy. And I'm not saying that's what it has to be. I'm just saying I don't see that anymore. You would assume. But, they want it to be like the movies. It's Queen Latifah. They want Queen Latifah. And she's going to be the one that, takes care of business. Oh, boy. Then there's the former border chief. He was testifying. This guy, let me see if I get his name. Former U.S. border chief Aaron Heitke. Hey, go take a Heitke or something. Whatever. He served under 5 administrations. 5 administrations. Former U.S. border chief. I would assume if you've served under 5 administrations, you have something that we haven't heard of in quite some time called credibility. I bet this guy knows the border like you know the border of your house, your own property. He testified that he was ordered by the Biden-Harris terrorist administration to cover up, conceal, and manipulate data on the border crisis, intentionally reduce detention capacity nationwide, issue Social Security numbers to illegal aliens, grant them Social Security benefits and Medicaid, register them to vote, and ultimately enable them to vote in U.S. elections while even prohibiting the mention of arrests of foreign terrorists. Border Chief Aaron Heitke, quote, "We have no idea who or what is coming through our country. Special interest aliens and known and suspected terrorists. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on the increase in special interest aliens or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border." Is this a surprise, by the way? Is this even a surprise? Seeing what the Biden puppet regime was doing at the border, did you have any doubt that there was a concerted effort by that administration to let people into this country illegally in numbers we had never seen before? Is there any doubt that this is a criminal act by the Biden administration? How about fentanyl? San Diego sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs are coming through in mass. During his last year, my last year, he said, in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl went from $10 to 25 cents. Supply and demand, my friends. Supply and demand. There was an incredible supply coming in under the Biden administration. Again, this guy is U.S. Border Chief Aaron Heitke, who served under 5 presidential administrations. Funding. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 2023, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. This is where the Biden administration took border patrolmen, the resources, the manpower, and instead of having them catching, stopping illegals from coming into this country with other illegals as coyotes or drug cartel members bringing drugs in or trafficking kids, instead of that, they put them behind desks to speak to and fill out the paperwork of the illegals and then release them into America with the promise that they'd come back in 2, 4, 7 years, which they wouldn't. And millions upon millions of illegals ended up in places like Springfield, Ohio, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, and everywhere, New York. You couldn't get a hotel room in New York City for under $700 a night because the government was paying for so many hotel rooms for illegals that there weren't any rooms left for tourists or businessmen that needed to stay in Manhattan overnight. Supply and demand. A $250 a night room now goes for $600. That's what was happening. The cover-up. Again, this is former U.S. Border Chief Aaron Heitke, served under 5 administrations. I had to release illegal aliens each day into communities that could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000. This was the administration's way to quiet the border crisis. Under pressure from the administration, my headquarters became more interested in the fiction being portrayed in the media and not at all concerned with reality. We had 2,000 or more illegals sitting between the fences asking to turn themselves in. I was told to move them out of sight of the media. And you don't think a crime was being committed by the Biden administration? You don't think a treasonous act was being committed by the Biden administration? At the very least, a cover-up about the border? How many times did we turn on the news and hear there is no border crisis? There's no crisis at this border. These aren't the illegals you're looking for. They lied right to our faces. We knew it too. It's not like you can't go back and look at interviews, social media posts, podcasts that have people on there going, they are bringing in illegals, hiding it from us, distributing it them around the United States of America, and lying every step of the way about it. We knew. And you know what happened to a lot of people that said that on social media? Banned, along with the vaccine people and the election deniers. Banned. Because they ran everything at the time. And now that Donald Trump is trying to fix the mess of illegals that are in this country, why does it have to be this pretty thing? Why does deporting the millions of illegals that were brought in under a cover-up, a treasonous act by the Biden administration, why does it have to be due process, coddling the illegals, stroke their hair, give their kids a little pinch on the cheek? Why is that mandatory after they've been let in under a giant treasonous cover-up? Get them out as quickly as possible. And they're trying to make ICE seem like the bad guys and not the administration that was lying to the American people about what they were doing. And you know what the motive was. Don't be stupid. No. Don't be stupid. They want them to vote. They're giving them Social Security numbers. As per the chief of the Border Patrol for 5 administrations, they were giving them Social Security cards and numbers, allowing them to vote in the presidential election. Why else would they bring them in? Secretly placing them around the country so they could, blend in. And we're supposed to think they're great, that diversity is our greatest strength and we need more of them, and that Trump is evil, and then we got to hear from Hollywood, people like Michael Keaton, about how horrible and cruel Donald Trump is. Don't blame the guy cleaning up the mess. Blame the people that made the mess. And that's exactly what happened. The Biden administration messed up your house, came in, threw crap all over the place, defecated on your floor, smashed your dishes, and then walks away. And someone comes in and starts sweeping, and you go, hey, jackass, put that broom down. You're terrible. What are you talking about? I'm cleaning up the mess. That's where we are. People are mad that Trump is cleaning up the mess in your house. How do you get to that point? It's madness. It seems so simple, doesn't it? When I sit back and I think about what's going on in this country, it doesn't seem that hard to see what has been happening and see the people that are responsible for what's been happening. So I don't understand how you get arguments from people saying that this is terrible and we're being terrible to the migrants, the immigrants. They never want to say illegal aliens. They're even trying to eliminate that word wholesale, but that's what they are. And don't get mad at the person trying to clean the damn mess up. That's Trump. And that's what we voted for. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Ooh, I get wound up. Ooh, do I get wound up. I'm like yelling here. Dog's looking at me like I'm crazy, but, what are you going to do? You hear this stuff, you watch the videos, you read about it, and then you're like, this is absolute madness. Madness. Let's talk to Pete from the Isle of Staten. What's up?
Hey, Anthony. I'm not going to panic with this new mayor coming in. I think Donald Trump will control him. I think it's the art of the deal. He's going to deal the cards. He's going to deal the money. And I think that, unions are going to benefit from this guy because he's going to try to, pay back the workers that he got the votes for, like DC 37 and all those unions and all the young people that fell for his malarkey about free buses and free this. It's up to the governor to make these things if there was going to be any changes. But, people think free ride. Somebody's got to pay for it. Taxpayers like me, like you, people that worked all our lives.
Yeah.
And the thing that is the biggest problem that I'm seeing right now is our health insurance. I have Medicare because I worked all my life and needed nursing and needed everything and can't get nothing. I've had people come to my house and evaluate me, and then they tell me, they'll be coming next week, and next week never comes. And it's like people don't want to work. I don't know.
Shame.
I don't know what we're coming to, but we got to be firm. I'm standing my ground. I'm staying in New York. I love it here, and that's all I could say. No panic. Panic when we have to, and not panic. Not before.
All right. Look, a nice kind of bright shining light. Pete in Staten Island is saying, "Don't panic. It's okay." He's not going to have the resources federally or even state-wise, even with Hochul. He doesn't have the authority as the mayor to do 90% of what he said. He needs, at the very least, the city council to go along with what he wants to do. So, yeah, I think he's going to be another just lame duck type of mayor, but he can do a lot as far as the NYPD goes, and he could appoint people that negatively affect New York City by not doing their job the way it's supposed to be done, especially where law enforcement is concerned there, Pete.
I want a cop and I want a taser and a gun to come to my door, not a social worker. My daughter's a social worker.
Yeah, you don't want her going to a domestic.
Daughter, I wouldn't mind, but they're not like my daughter. My daughter, I trained her in martial arts. I had the greatest martial arts people in Staten Island, like John Mullen, who was the Taekwondo champion in 1973.
73?
Yeah,
wow, you go back.
And he still is lethal. I mean, he's in great shape. I think he's 81, but and same thing, Master Kim from the Dragons, the Dragon Karate schools out in Staten Island. He owns the Pancake House, actually.
After the Hiroshima bomb dropped, he came over and
right.
started teaching kids in San Francisco, I heard.
Yes,
Pete,
exactly
Pete, I love you, brother. Take care, and thanks for the silver lining on the dark cloud that is Mamdani. I want to get to this clip before we go. Ilhan Omar, she's commenting on America. Now, she came from Somalia, which is a crap hole, one of the crap holes Trump talks about. And she comes to America, this amazing place. She's able to get a seat of power in the United States. And what does she have to say about the United States of America? Ilhan?
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade. It is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans to say this is not the country we were born in. This is not the country we believe in. This is not the country our founding fathers imagined, and this is not the country that is supported by our Constitution, our ideals, our values. And we should all collectively be out in the streets rejecting what is taking place this week.
Oh, boy. Oh, my God. A wake-up call? This should be a wake-up call? Who answers the wake-up call when it rings in your room? You or your brother? Who rolls over in the bed and grabs the phone for the wake-up call? You or your brother? You piece. Believe me, when the show is over tonight, I will say a couple of words just to get it out of my system describing Ilhan Omar that I cannot say on federal communications regulated amplitude modulation radio. But imagine you come from what could possibly be the worst place on earth, Somalia. And then you talk about your new country that took you in, gave you everything you needed, put you in a seat of power to make the decisions for the people of this country. And you call it the worst country in the world? The worst country in the world. The balls. Oh, my God, this woman. Disgusting. All right, people. I got wound up again. I don't know what to tell you. We will be back next week. I don't take off for the vacation for this. Thank you for tuning in. Merry Christmas. Have a great, safe Christmas. We adore you, people. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.